Let me put a little raisin in.
Whole lot of money, whole lot of money, got a whole lot of money, whole lot of money, I got a whole lot of money.
Yo, all right, better than A-Leagues in the building episode. What?
102.
Wait, what is it?
102.
102, episode 102.
102.
A-Leagues back in the building, baby. We back. The reunion is here. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Akeem and Rashad for holding it down with WNBA content. You know what I mean? We needed that. Just appreciate the fellas. But first of all, let's do a little quick roundup. Everybody get a little introduction. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's your boy Eric. You know, Eric Yaboa, Kwaku Snipes. Sometimes they call me you. You know, it's a little bit of that. The boys in New York, I'm in Jersey holding it down for A-League, but you know, I'm out here, baby. Go ahead, Rashad.
Oh man, you know, hey, this is my channel if you're watching on YouTube, so you already know. You know what I'm saying? It's on slight, simple. All right, you go ahead, Jeremy.
This is Jeremy Johnson. Got a beard now and need a haircut, but you know, I'm still here in Athens. Just being Jeremy.
There you go, baby.
This is a
Yeah,
kid
you know what it is.
like you, Jeremy. I kind of need to, get this national forest off the top of my head too, because I say people all the time. It's, in my case, not a good look, but it is what it is. But yeah, just like y'all, just like everybody, still being me, still being cool.
That's what I'm saying, baby. Keep it a building, baby. All right, well, we go. So we all just finished watching it, right? We all saw part 1 and 2.
Oh yeah.
The Bulls documentary. I want to be respectful. The Bulls documentary, not just the MJ doc. But yeah.
Who?
But so let's first give our thoughts. Yeah, whoever wants to go first, it's all good. But our first thoughts are just what we took in, what stood out to us.
Go ahead, one of y'all hop on now.
I guess I'll go first.
Go ahead, Keith.
Like the one of the things that that really stuck out to me watching those first 2 episodes, it was really like it was of course well done. Like there was just even little things that that I took from it, and that I sort of was able to point out, like for those of us, for anybody who grew up watching Atlanta sports. They probably heard Skip Carey on the call for NBA for the Celtics and Bulls playoffs. For anybody who's a Braves fan, like yourself, Jeremy, like yourself, Shad, they probably was like, oh wow, this brought me back to my childhood. And another thing that I remember, that really stuck out to me from that documentary, they really went into a lot of discussion on just how much Scottie Pippen was underpaid. Like that was some crazy stuff. Like, and then when he was offered 7 years, like $18 million, like what? Like this is Scottie Pippen, like who they consider the Robin to MJ's Batman, and this guy they really like lowballed this dude. Like it was crazy to me. Like and what's so amazing is that I was doing some research and I saw that his I think it was J.A. Adonde who said something like this, that his agent, the agent that Scottie Pippen had, is now like representing like Nick Saban and other college football coaches. So it's just amazing, like, how much these guys are getting paid. But Scottie, like, he was getting like seriously lowball, man. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing that surprised me. It's just how poorly paid Scottie was. I didn't know that. That's that was going on with him, and honestly, I'm just kind of glad they highlighted Scottie and showed how important he was to that Bulls team, because I feel like a lot of people don't really understand how great of a player Scottie was just by himself. And I think that's gonna ignite this debate between MJ and LeBron, which I don't really think is a fair debate at this point. But that Scottie topic was interesting to see how much they built that up tonight.
I thought it was real cool how ESPN put the Scotty episode, the second episode. I saw what you did there, ESPN. But yeah, man, it was the biggest curveball of the night for me wasn't Scotty. It was actually Common. The fact that Common was the ball boy for the Bulls back then.
That's nuts.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's like out of all the people in Chicago, all the kids, it was Common who was the ball boy. That was the biggest curveball for me, man. You know, y'all know I'm a Jordan guy. I'm a guy who, you know, I still, even to this day, it's tough for me to say LeBron's top 5 all time. You know, you could go either way. It's no wrong answer, but, you know, so for the fact that people even saying LeBron, MJ, I'm like, you skipping a couple players there, but it is what it is, you know. But yeah, man, I'm glad that this got to open up a lot of kids because, you know, in this quarantine period, in this social distancing era, we've seen all the Instagram lives over the last couple of weeks of some of the younger players on IG Live and all that doing Q&As. And I think Jason Tatum's top 5 was like LeBron, Durant, Jordan, Kobe, and Shaq. Do I want Shaq? Maybe Kareem. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he just left out all
everybody who played from the 90s up, or everybody who played from the late 90s up. And it's like, dude, no, like Kevin Durant, Steve Nash, no. None of those dudes are near the top 5 right now. Steph Curry, no, he's not in the top 5 right now. And I'm a Steph guy. I'm the biggest Steph fan here. So I'm just glad that, you know, this is out for the kids who are just on Instagram Live in the league right now, who are saying all that ignorant stuff, get to see what Michael Jordan truly was.
Yeah, I would be interested to see a doc on some of these older guys. Like, I don't know if this is even possible, but like I wouldn't want to know more about Wilt Chamberlain. I would want to know more about Kareem and Oscar.
We know a lot
Robertson.
about Wilt. We know a lot about Wilt.
I mean, I think Oscar Robertson is one of those players that people just overlook because a lot of people didn't get to see him play. And you know, you look at all the record books, his name's at the top of a lot of these lists, and he gets left off a lot.
Question.
So,
I think Wilt actually scored 100.
I think he got a couple extra baskets in there. They gave him a couple. Nah, I mean, it's like, bro,
he got
like
100 flat. Like, that's a pretty even number to get. Like,
I think he got like exactly.
But like 100 out of all the numbers, bro.
Bro, that's what bro. I was about to say, like, he would have got like 101 or 102. Yeah. Like, you're not gonna get 100 on the dot and then that's it. But I think he got like 96, and they just like it was like not actually.
That's what rounded up. It sounds like maybe he got like 97 or so. They were just like,
But yeah, I was reading actually this past week a New York Times article from like the 70s on John Drew, former Atlanta Hawks All-Star traded to Utah, and it was talking about his struggles with cocaine. This dude was still in the league, bro. Like he wasn't cut, he wasn't retired. New York Times.
Wait, what year was that?
Feature, huh?
What year was that?
This was like the 70s, bro. He was traded. That makes sense. He was traded to Utah for Utah's pick to Atlanta, which was Dominique Wilkins.
Yeah. See, that's what there's a doc. I remember watching one, and it was like talking about the ABA in the 70s, and they were like, they tried so hard to clean up, because like the funniest thing about the 70 Hoopers was a lot of them were like, I mean, they'd be on the court, they were handling business, they were flashy, but at the same time, like a lot of them were doing drugs together, like a lot. Like that's why like Stern came in, and them boys it was like the Coke boys, like it was just like a whole decade of just Coke boys. So they were like, all right, how do we clean it? Yeah, so that's why like Stern deserves a lot of credit because he helped clean it up. But like the NBA before Jordan and all them, sheesh, like Dr. J and all them, like them boys was different, man. It was wild. Like they was living like rock stars for real. So
sure.
Which they talked about that in the doc today. Was how Jordan walked in on his team doing what they was doing. Like that's nuts to me that even like.
Yeah.
That first of all, shout out to him for not naming names. He didn't snitch on nobody. Like I thought Jordan was gonna say a name, but he didn't. And then
he kind of did. He said pretty much the whole team.
He did say the whole team.
Him. Like if you just go look at the roster, you can start picking. You can start processing.
That's real though.
He was on cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't like, yo, Steve Kerr did it. Paxton was doing that. Like he didn't go like that, but I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Everybody but
it's still wild.
Everybody but me was in there.
Everybody but me.
Everybody but me.
Okay, but all right. I do want to say this though. Like watching it within the first like 10 minutes or so, like I couldn't get over the fact that they had interviewed this amount of people. Like that is nuts. Like, bro, like what they're doing, like we got to give a big shout out, whatever their production, because like, bro, like they have hours on hours on hours of interviews with like Obama and Bill Clinton and you can name it. And it's like, that just take. Oh, they got Jordan's brother, right? No, nobody's ever seen Michael Jordan's little brother. Like what? So I was like, shout out to them, bro, because like they got a lot of footage over the like whatever this time period took to do all these interviews. Like it's nuts. Like that in itself is nuts to me.
Where do you think this will stand?
They had Obama as a former Chicago resident.
Yes, not president, resident.
Not president of the United States.
No,
for Chicago resident.
It's nuts. So yeah, shout out to them.
This doc's gonna be as far as the best docs, sports docs. You know, just because of who it is, who it's about. What do you think it's gonna be historically? Because I can't really think of any like sports documentaries.
The only one, I guess, like I don't think this will top it, but I still have OJ as number one for me. Cause that OJ doc is
that's a really good one.
Okay, look, I was like the best docs that I know are all like music ones.
Yeah,
like these type of crazy stories. They're all like music groups and stuff.
Yeah,
like, OJ was crazy too.
Like the unsung docs on TV One.
Yeah.
Oh, I love how they had David Stern in there, man. Because you know Kobe's in it obviously later on, but to get David.
Oh, Kobe's in it
too. Yeah, from the commercials. He wasn't in it tonight, but he was in the commercial. So to get Kobe and David Stern in there is great. And it's just missing one person, man. Stu Scott.
Oh man!
Wow,
that would have been
perfect. Got Stu Scott in there, they would have had everybody. Yeah. I mean, but you know, the Jerry's I think he passed too because they use all his old interviews. So
yeah, that's another thing though. We can't look over the Jerry Krause thing. It's like nuts because like you hear Chicago fans still when they speak of his name, it's still like they still mad, and I'm like now I'm understanding why they're so mad because we were like we're Atlanta fans, like we didn't really.
They were beating us anyway. So
say what?
They were blowing us out anyway. So.
Yeah, anyway. So we weren't like, what y'all complaining about? Exactly, like, what are y'all complaining about? And then now I'm starting to see, like, how he was, like, just a total, like, loof. Like, the man might have made good moves, but he just wasn't. Like, Scotty was like, yo, he lied in my face so many times. Like, he's a bit of a loof. But so I see now it makes sense. Like, why?
But at what point do you ask the athlete, well, what do you expect out of professional sports? I mean, you getting the best player, one of the top 5 players in the league, for 10 years at a cheap price. That's not really on the franchise to this. I'm just playing devil's advocate because I agree with what you're saying, but it's not really on the GM to be like, hey, I'm trying to get you the best deal, blah, blah, blah. No, they're trying to build a team. So, I mean, if Scotty was willing to take that deal, then that's kind of on him at that point, especially
they said Scotty got that Ozzy Albies money.
God.
It's the same thing, man. Like he signed the deal before he blew up. So
Scotty signed a deal like them dudes. If you look back at them boy bands in like the '90s and stuff, like they was doing them deals that it was like, bro, what? Like that's what he did.
$20 a piece.
Yeah, y'all on the road sharing chicken wings and stuff. Like y'all broke, all of y'all broke. Like, bro, that's what Scotty signed. So yeah, I agree with you. Scotty did like he was wilding, but like. Understanding his background made sense a little bit now because I didn't know Scotty went like I know he's from Arkansas. We all knew that, but it's like we didn't know he was like he came from like dirt poor like that. So
yeah, I mean it's terrible. It's terrible when an organization will take advantage of somebody like that. But that's
facts.
That's just what professional sports have been forever. So like you got to look out for yourself up front. That's why I don't get mad at these kids for trying to take control of their career early in their careers because it's you have a very limited window as an athlete as it is. So any chance you get to hold your career in your hands, you do it. Like I mean, they're not gonna look out for you, and to be honest, it's a business. So somebody gonna catch the short end of the stick every time. That's just the way it is. So.
Facts.
I mean, we talk about it all the time, not just, in any sport. I mean, with any of these deals that, that come up. I mean, that's, and I think that, we do a much better job nowadays of, being able to recognize that. And I think that this, generation of players, especially, the LeBrons and everything like that, this generation of players, I think, has, definitely for sure has a, I won't say a better understanding of that, but I feel like that, the knowledge of that of that business aspect, I feel like is definitely, I feel like, more ingrained into this, this era of players, because, we're seeing, players in sports that, that aren't, staying around as long as they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially with football, man. Like if you're a running back in the NFL, like you almost got to start negotiating your deal after your rookie year, like your next deal, because it's going to be impossible to get paid.
You can't wait. You can't wait a second. Now that window is closing smaller and smaller. Like
yeah.
So, but all right, but back. Okay, even on the doc though, do you guys think? Because we got 8 more parts left.
And the next one is about Robin.
The next one is like Robin, right? Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, because they talk about Detroit. Yeah, the next one, you're right. Yeah.
They barely even mentioned Rodman tonight.
Yeah. Oh, he's gonna have his moment for sure.
For sure. That's a must watch.
Yeah.
Sally, John Sally. I hope John Sally tells that story. He told it Vlad TV about Rodman, which is like nuts. I don't know if y'all heard it, but he was just like talking about Rodman used to go to after games. He'll go to like some real popular restaurant downtown Chicago, and he would purposely go with a how do I say this? A non-binary human being. How do I do this? That. So he would, Jeremy, you all right? So he would go with a woman that was actually a man. So he would do that, right? And she would be prettied up, and everybody at the place would be like trying to get that woman's attention, not knowing that it was a man. And Robin purposely did this so people would like, he would get all the attention in there, and he would give a trip on everybody. Like everybody thinks they can get one on me because I'm Dennis Rodman and I'm this wild guy, but they don't know that I know this man or this woman or whatever you want to call it. So that's just like a little preview of what we should expect from Dennis Rodman in the next couple things. But the boy was wild, man. So yeah.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah.
No, what I was gonna ask though, y'all think that 8 parts, the 8 remaining, y'all think this is too much, or is it just amount? Like you think
I think it's too much.
I feel like it's needed. I feel like, especially now, with everybody all locked up in quarantine, I feel like it's one of those things where, under typical circumstances, I think that it probably would be something that, would be stretched out a little bit too much. But nowadays, I feel like a 10-part documentary. I feel like it's needed.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, I can understand that. I mean, it's just too long for me. Like, you're talking 2 episodes for, and then it's on Sunday night. Like,
I know.
I'm a reporter, so I got to get up and go to work in the morning. Like, I'm not actually sheltered in place, so
yeah.
Like,
maybe if they were like moved up a little bit in this.
Yeah, it needs to be like on a Friday night or something.
I'm in Central Time, so it's like perfect time for me.
Yeah, that's true. It's
like
you
7 behind?
Yeah. So it starts at 8 for me over here.
8.
Oh.
Okay.
But man, for me, I don't know. There's so many questions surrounding Jordan, so many conspiracies of whether or not, it was a flu game or a hangover, whether or not, did he leave because he really wanted to pursue baseball, like, they were talking about on Joe Budden podcast. So it's like the gambling thing, like these are all things where it's like he kind of addressed it previously, but not really. And we really don't know. Like, and then, I love for it, episode 8, for him just to be talking about the guys now. We've heard his takes a bunch of times. They're pretty bad takes. And, you obviously see the Hornets, but I would just like to hear him because, throughout this entire series, people are just going to use it every Sunday night to debate. So I'd rather just hear, Jordan and then all the guys who are on Team Jordan to say why they think he's the GOAT. I love for the series to end like that.
No, I hear that.
Did this add to you guys' debates that you have been having with people about whether Jordan was the GOAT or not? Have you seen anything tonight that, adds to that?
One thing I saw, I know it's going to sound stupid. It's going to sound real stupid. Like when Jordan first got drafted and they were showing Jordan coming around and the city embracing him and stuff. And then, him going even into, just going in the practice facility and all the attention he always had on him and stuff. I was thinking a little bit about Trey, and like how much, how much pride he takes in Atlanta and how bad he wants to be. That, like, when I saw the picture of him on right after he got drafted, holding the Jordan 23 and thinking about how famous he made that number 23. I was thinking about Trey and his want to make that 11 Atlanta jersey so famous and stuff. And then I see, his rookie year, he's like, transition from college to the league hasn't been difficult at all. And he's like,
oh, yeah.
It took me about 3 games to get settled in.
It's actually been easy.
Yeah. And then it was like immediately he brought in from like an empty stadium, empty arenas to like packed arenas every night. And that's something Trey, even though he's got the city support, he's not quite there yet. And then you also think about the whole winning thing, of course, too. So, and Jordan was someone, like they said, just one guy who could – the only other guy I could think about like that is LeBron, which is why I would kind of get the LeBron thing because he has a Jordan type of impact on the team.
Yeah. Trey's
funny,
like
Rashad, that I thought the same thing that you did when I saw that in the documentary, and I was just like, wow, I wonder if that's going to be the Hawks' future because of just the similarities that you just mentioned. I thought the exact same thing. So that's funny that we both thought that. And when we talked a couple years ago about Trey, I didn't really see him being what he's become, but I mean, that's one thing I can say about him is that he takes pride in playing for the Hawks, and he really has embraced the city. So, and the city
that's the only way it works.
Yeah.
Right? It's like literally that. Jordan really didn't. He also like set the standard there. Like Trey's got to do that. If Trey wants to, he's got to set a standard that, like, even though they're losing, like you saw how upset he was when the Pacers game that Jordan was like, well, they wanted to lose and all that, and he was like, nah. But like Trey's got to really he's got to have an issue. I think we heard that he had that upset. He got in the locker room. He was really upset about how they were losing. So we've heard that he wants to win. So that
you can just tell by how he plays. He plays hard every night. Like I can't never say I've seen a game where Trey hasn't played hard.
Facts. Yeah.
A thing that really got me with going back to Trey, I didn't know this was going to be a Trey Young discussion, but
it always is, baby.
with Trey, it was like the thing when Jordan got mad. The Boston Celtics before Game 2, he went golfing and he lost a bunch of money. So I think that was Mikal.
Danny
Ainge.
Danny Ainge.
Yeah.
Okay. Danny Ainge. He was mad, and he was like, I probably shouldn't have done that. And then he goes out and scores 63 or whatever Game 2. It made me think about Trey. Remember when LaMarcus Aldridge or San Antonio, the Spurs did something to Trey the play before, and Trey comes back mad, and he just like does this crazy dribble crossover on LaMarcus Aldridge and does a no-look to brim break.
Oh, that pass.
And it's just because he did it because he was mad. It's like the players who can do that against NBA competition just because they're mad. Yeah. That's everybody can't do that, man.
Yeah,
uncanny.
I think that KG and that KG story where he was talking about when he played Michael for the first time in Chicago, and he was heckling Jordan, and he just went off. that's what those. I think that makes Michael Jordan the greatest athlete of all time, more than his skill set. I feel like LeBron may even be a better basketball talent. If you're just building a basketball player from the ground up, LeBron probably would be the perfect specimen you would build. But I mean, you can't make up the fact that you can make Michael Jordan mad, and that just means you're gonna lose the game. Yeah. Like you gotta be nice to this dude, or you gonna lose the basketball game. Mm-hmm. There's nothing you can do about it.
Nothing.
One of the things that really stuck out to me about that documentary is I imagine that there were probably a lot of people that may have been watching for the first time, or may have just recently or just using this time to brush up on basketball history. And I think they mentioned something about Jordan was a third overall draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
They talked about it as a third, because it's one of those things where people probably thinking of like, oh, he probably had to be taken first overall. But people are now understanding like, oh, he was drafted third. He was drafted
Sam Bowie,
first overall. Sam Bowie, Portland Trailblazers. Everybody in Portland that probably watched that part of the documentary probably turned that part off. Now, I imagine that he had Clyde Drexler at the time, so it kind of made sense why they took him. But I imagine that everybody in Oregon that was watching that documentary was probably like, We could have had Michael freaking Jordan.
No, but it's okay because a couple of decades later they got Greg Golden instead of Kevin Durant. So
Oh my God!
Wow.
Or might be even worse.
Oh. That's a cursed franchise, bro. I mean, and they're like, and now they're just like stuck, bro.
Remember that.
Yeah,
the
no,
Hawks
it's really.
picked Sheldon Williams over Brandon Roy that year, 06, and I really wanted Brandon Roy. I even told the dude, like I went to an open house thing that year, and I was like, you know who you want in the draft? He was like, oh, I'm thinking maybe, I think he said Sheldon Williams even. And I was like, bro, I really like that Brandon Roy kid from Washington. I think he could be like a Joe Johnson for real, like the next Joe Johnson. He's like, oh, Roy, I've never really heard of him. I'll check him out. And Brandon Roy.
That's only because that's only because Brandon played on the West Coast. Nobody likes West Coast guys when they come into the draft and they're high. Like every time, think about it. Like Lonzo, Fultz, like the last couple of years, whatever. Like even within that, people are like, I never saw 1 minute of Fultz. And like we all know he's good. He's just always hurt. But it's like, yeah, East Coast people do not like West Coast hoopers. So like Sheldon Williams is just like easy. Like, oh, I've seen him play like 2 times in 1 year, so I think he's good. It's like, no, but you were right. Brandon Roy was hooping the whole year. Like what? Like
Yeah.
It didn't matter. But yeah, that's just us being the Hawks. But anyway. Yeah.
If you're Houston in that draft, are you mad?
No. You got 2.
I think that's the only team that can come out of that draft and say, well, actually, we're fine.
Yeah. Which is
Probably
why
got
no one
one
gets on
good
Houston for that.
Yeah. Because they still got their rings with Elijah Warren.
Yeah, they're good.
Right. They straight. They straight. They got them 2 rings.
I didn't even know that how Scotty got drafted too. I forgot that I didn't know he was a trade already the night before too.
What's up with like number 5 picks getting traded?
Is that a theme?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Vince Carter, Antoine Jameson, I think that was one of those guys was 5. I think Vince Carter was 5. Trae Young
was 5. Paul Gasol for the Hawks?
Paul Gasol was 3.
3.
Was 3.
Oh, okay.
Abdul Rahim.
DeAndre Hunter was what? Yo, the one thing I kept noticing tonight was how much Scottie Pippen, DeAndre Hunter reminds me of Scottie Pippen. Like I just can't let it go. Like it's just like they're mirror images of each other.
I was thinking about one of the tweets you had in the preseason about one of the rookies, and they reminded me of Scottie Pippen. Yeah. I had a thing from Zoom that told me I had.
That's what I just saw.
I
saw it too. All right,
what? But yeah, man. So yeah, Scotty. One of the rookies. I remember you had a tweet about that in the preseason. It was like Cam or DeAndre, and I was like,
Hunter.
Yeah. I see it, bro. I see it.
I'm just gonna take a leap next year.
Oh yeah.
If there is a next year.
Honestly, he wasn't bad this year. He just doesn't score a lot, which, I didn't expect him to score a lot anyway. He doesn't score. He didn't score a lot in college. But
Cam took a leap, though.
Yeah, he took a leap during the year.
I mean, because y'all whooped the hell out of him. How many times I got to tell y'all too?
And we didn't have A-League all season. I just thought about that.
Yeah, he better be glad.
He was on Cam all season.
Did y'all see Oakley, how he smacked the hell out of Scottie Pippen? That was you and Jeremy. That's Jeremy and Rashad to Cam. It was like had him by the throat.
Man.
But it worked, though.
You had the perfect build, bro. It was like, you shouldn't be this sorry with the perfect build and the shot like you have.
You shouldn't be this sorry.
You shouldn't miss open threes no matter what level of basketball
bro. You got it together, but you were sorry, bro.
He was sorry, boy. That first
I'm ready to get to Jalen.
What happened? Yeah, let's do Jalen.
Jalen. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead and introduce it, Eric.
Oh, yeah. So, that one of the number 1 high school player this week decided over Auburn and Memphis that he was going to take his talents to the G League. They're doing like a professional development route where they can get paid. They have a decision. They can also sign a shoe deal. So he has a choice between Nike, Adidas, all of them. But I believe I saw it got reported that he will get somewhere near $1 million for one season for his G League, for his only season for the G League. It's for a new California team based in the G League. So pretty dope. But Jalen Green out of Prolific Prep, which is, I'll tell you this much, like the funniest thing about Jalen Green and that is like you would have thought he played in like a whole different other country because no, that school like doesn't play, but I think they got on ESPN once this year and played in the tournament. I forgot where it was at, but like outside of that, it's like one of those like shady schools, whatever. But like shout out to him regardless. So yeah, he chose the G League over, and I think a lot of people were just kind of stunned by like the fact that this G League, people have been hearing about it for like 2 years, that the G League are going to get serious now about these high school kids, and somebody finally actually like wasn't afraid enough to take that first step. So Jalen Green seems like he's the right fit to do it. And then after him, Isaiah Todd signed. He left Michigan, not left Michigan. He decommitted from Michigan, and now he's going to the G League as well. So
Shout out to Darius Baisley. Shout out Darius Baisley.
Oh yeah, can't forget him, the boy.
Yeah, he was a guy that quietly did it last year.
Yeah.
Nobody really talked about.
He did. I thought he did the New Balance.
He pulled
He
out.
did an internship, didn't he?
Yeah.
With New Balance, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah. But back. So what are you guys' thoughts on Jalen Green and his decision this week?
Tough week for Michigan, ain't it? Tough week for Michigan. They don't get Josh Christopher. Todd decommits, goes to the G League. Tough week for Michigan, man.
Nah, it's a very tough week.
Tough week.
But yeah, you know, me and Keem, we were talking about on the previous quarter episode about LeVar Ball, man. You know, giving LeVar Ball his flowers, because LeVar really pushed this. You know what I'm saying? So everybody wants to say Brandon Jennings did it, Emmanuel Mudiay, but LeVar really pushed it to guys on this type of level. You know, I just think it's very you know, you gotta give him his applause and his flowers right now for what he did, because without that, I don't even think that Jalen Green would have considered this. You know, remember Sharif a couple years ago, he had JBA on his list when he decommitted from Arizona, and his recruitment was back open. So, you know, the fact that these kids are thinking about these things, alternate ways to go. RJ Hampton, you got to give him a shout out, who went and kind of like paved the way for LaMelo to go to Australia. All that stuff, man. Kids, I think y'all were talking about this when y'all were talking about Scotty and taking back the power. Kids have the power. And, you know, when you look at a situation like Zion a couple years ago, when his shoe busted on national TV, and he's the number one athlete in the country at that time. Like, you know, he's probably more popular than LeBron a couple years ago, because I think LeBron was having a down year with the Lakers. Am I wrong with that? No, because this was last year. Yeah. LeBron was having a down year with the Lakers. He was hurt. No superstars were really popping off in the league. So all the attention was on Zion. And Zion's the biggest guy. He can't get paid for any of this. And it's like, dude, this is a problem. So the fact that these kids are actually taking it into their hands and they're studying up and they're, you know, just learning about this stuff from a much earlier age is very inspiring.
Mm-hmm. Right. Is exactly what I was mentioning earlier. Like you said, as far as the Scottie Pippen documentary, and how, you know, what I was saying earlier about today's you know, kids, today's young athletes, and, you know, how they're really, you know, being a lot more, you know, financially savvy in terms of looking at it. Because I think that, you know, they've seen so many, you know, they growing up, you know, they've watched ESPN and they keep up with, you know, the sports news and everything like that. And they've seen so many examples of how teams have taken, you know, advantage of players when they got in the league. They've seen so many examples of the NCAA taking advantage of them when they get through the NCAA and they, you know, have to deal with all the red tape coming from there. So I think it's one of those things where, like you said, you know, these players, they are a lot more business savvy, because they understand that in the end, like Jeremy was saying, you know, in the end, you know, sports is huge business. And, you know, they're understanding that. So like you said, you got to give him his props. You got to give LeVar Ball his props too, because, you know, it started with him, and now we're starting to see the fruits of where that's, you know, where it's coming from and where it's going to.
Yeah, y'all hit all the points on the head, so I don't really have anything else to add. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is what kind of impact this will have on his draft stock. Is, you know, will they punish him for this, and how will, you know, he market himself to the average fan like me? You know, I don't really follow high school basketball, so when this story came up, I hadn't even really heard of this kid, so, you know, I don't actually know if he can play or not. So, you know, how do you sell a fan base on a kid that you can't see at Duke or see at North Carolina playing in the NCAA tournament. That's going to be the interesting part is how
That's a
you
really good point.
you market a player that you pick number 1 overall if you have him hidden away on CBS Sports at 11 o'clock at night and you can't watch him. So that's something that I think that is not being considered here that the G League could probably, benefit off of by, making sure that they have these deals in place with networks to get on these primetime slots and showcase some of these kids that are coming into the league and making sure that they can start getting some of this high quality talent. Like, you mentioned Zion. I don't think Zion is as famous as he is now if he doesn't go to Duke. He was a sensation before he got to Duke, but wearing that Duke jersey brought him in contact with a different type of consumer that he may have not have reached before. So, it can go both ways with that. And if the G League comes up with a way to, get in front of everybody, then that's a different story. And, you're going to start having the top 5 guys going to the G League and not ever seeing college. So, I don't know. I think that's what I want to see how that plays out. Just how does it affect this draft stock? And, if he's drafted number 1 overall, how does a fan base get behind it? Because you got to be like number 1 pick is for a terrible team in need of a face. So, when you pick somebody number 1 overall, it's not just about is this the best basketball player? Can I sell this guy? So I think that's the last couple of years there hadn't been a guy to sell except for Zion. Like DeAndre Ayton, you can't sell DeAndre Ayton. I mean, there's no disrespect to his game, but you can't walk into the arena every night and say, "Oh, you're gonna get to watch DeAndre Ayton play." Okay, what does that mean? He gonna get a bunch of rebounds? Like, that's not exciting. So I don't know. This guy's a guard, so he'll have a chance to put on a show every night. But we'll see.
Jeremy, you brought up a very interesting point. I was watching Ross Golden Wude's interview with Sabrina Ionescu last night, and she was talking about, have you ever thought about how the sudden season cutoff has affected your ability to have a final March Madness run, have a final tournament run, to market yourself better to these companies? And I'm thinking, who in the heck doesn't know who Sabrina Ionescu is? Like, she spoke at Kobe's memorial service. That was going to give her more publicity than she ever would have got in a tournament. Right. But I think a lot of people still is just like that tournament is, the biggest marketing thing for them. And like you said with Zion, even though Zion was the biggest thing in high school, I get to McDonald's week and I'm like, dang, is it Zion or Zion? And I still don't know how to pronounce the dude's name at that point. So, you have to, man, that's a very good point on your end. But but before I toss it off the air, I was thinking about my back to Trey. When the Zion thing happened, I talked to Trey, and he said he still had to go to college because even though he was top 25 in the country, almost All-American 5-star, he wasn't on these NBA draft boards. He needed that in college to improve his stock. So, like you said, everybody can't do it. And then you look at another guy like a Trayvon Durrell, who was number 1 point guard in the nation, 5-star, goes to Duke and then barely gets drafted, and now he's outside looking in.
Look at Josh Okoro from Auburn. He's ranked recruiting. He's top 5 pick right now.
Exactly.
And they didn't even have a March Madness this year, right? So what does that do for guys like that who actually need the college experience to market themselves? Like Josh Okoro, Reese. Is it Reese Halliburton that plays for Iowa State? Is it Reese? What's his first name? Tyrese. Tyler? Whatever his name is. I don't think he's very good, but he's –
It's Isaac Okoro.
Isaac Okoro.
Isaac,
yeah.
But you got it. Yeah, you already.
I don't think he's
college
ready.
basketball was trash this year, man.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough this year.
Like Obi Toppin trying to make him the golden child. I'm like,
Obi Toppin was really
Josh Childress.
But no, I mean, I was gonna say Josh Childress Part 2, baby.
Yeah, I wouldn't even want to pick this draft this year. I would just wouldn't even want to pick. Just take my pick and give me next year's draft picks. I'll try again next year.
Yeah, there's
not a single player I would draft in the top 10.
No, you're not the only one that says that. There's
it's terrible.
I think a lot of people are just like not fazed by. I mean, like Cole Anthony, he declared yesterday, and like nobody's declaration has like got people hyped. Like nobody like it was last year. We knew Zion was gonna declare last year. Obviously, but when him and Cam and RJ did it, it was just like a lot of fun. You know, everybody was like, all right, bet that's 1, 2, and 3. That's what we thought. But like this year, bro, it's just been. It's also a lot of guys that a lot of people didn't really see, like even in like their high school run. A lot of them didn't see, like nobody saw Anthony Edwards. These people, nobody knows about him but us. And then Cole Anthony, people saw Cole, but he went to Oak Hill in his high school.
He was hurt most of the year.
He's hurt, yeah, in his high school, exactly. He was hurt most of the year in UNC. And in high school, it was like you didn't really see a lot of him, even though he was at Oak Hill, which is nuts. But it was just people didn't really follow him like that. And then who else? Yeah, like this whole Nico Mannion, like he played on the Under Armour circuit, so a lot of people didn't see him. So all these kids are like, who is this? Like Josh Green and all these guys. So it's like,
and then you got LaMelo playing in
all over. Yeah, exactly.
Wherever he's playing.
Wherever he's playing. Yeah. So it's like, so people don't know about these kids. They know their names, they see them, but they just don't actually know. Like nobody can get excited about them because you can't. There's no branding next to them that you really like. All right, I need my franchise to draft this kid. It just doesn't happen.
Exactly.
So,
there is very, either little branding or, very, no branding because, like you said, and that's a very good point that you made earlier, Jeremy, about the G League and getting them, getting the G League more exposure because really and truly, if I remember correctly, like the only place that they even really, even broadcast G League games is on NBA TV. I know that the Skyhawks had to deal with Peachtree TV, but, outside of that, I think that, when you think about the G League on a national scale, I think it's one of those things where, they don't get the, the exposure. Like they're getting slowly and, surely more exposure, but it's not to the level of the NBA. It's not even to the level of the WNBA. It's not even to the level of some of these high school players like on the girls' side, Paige Becker's out of Minnesota. Like she's getting all this exposure now. She's about to head to UConn, and that was also a great point you made, Shad, about Sabrina Ionescu. Everybody knows, if they don't know who she was, before the Kobe Memorial, they know who she was after that, and they especially know who she's going to be now because she's going to be hooping right in your neck of the woods, Eric, right there at the Barclays Center in New York.
Yeah,
I know what it is, baby.
I don't think we can really use Sabrina as a model for that though, because Sabrina's a once a generation type talent. So like those young players tend to get found easier, and we've all known about Sabrina since she was a freshman. So like you would almost have to be asleep to not know who that is. So right. I'm talking about the people like what's her name? The dream draft pick this year. I've never seen her play.
Candy Carter?
I've never heard of her. I don't know what she can do. And, you take away, say she goes to let's go to an NBA. Steph Curry in college. Okay, say if Steph Curry goes to the G League and doesn't play 3 years at Davidson. Okay, well, who is he now? Does he even make it to the NBA? So
that March Madness run made Steph Curry.
Right. Nobody watched Steph in the regular season. Nobody knew who that was. But I don't know. It's an interesting thing. And I wonder if it's going to get to a point where it oversaturates the market so much that all these guys think, well, I'm in the top 50 in the country, so that means I'm going to go to the G League. And does the quality of college basketball take a hit, which has been pretty bad anyway? And it doesn't take even that much more of a hit. And then, you have these guys who now starting to think like businesses instead of developing as players, because a lot of these guys aren't NBA ready. They aren't like they're gonna sit on the bench. Like they're gonna be the 13th, 11th man on the bench.
Yeah,
and
that's a scary thing.
Gonna do. So then you've wasted an opportunity to become an actual player because now you were chasing the money. So
yeah, that's the scary.
I'm afraid of that too.
I think also like that's what I think the G League right now, which is what their plan has been like the last 2 years, has been to try to make contacts with a lot of these camps and these kids to get them thinking about it early. And then now Jalen was the drop. Jalen's been in work for 2 years. Like that didn't happen overnight. So they've been working on Jalen, but they're also contacting all these kids. Like Todd's been working on them. They've been working on Todd for like a year or so. But like they reached out to all these other kids. Like if you see a lot of them, like they announced their top 10s or whatever, but like the Mike Foster kid he's out of the Midwest. Like he's one of the top kids in next year's class. They've been reaching out. Imani Bates, we all know Imani. I'm sure they've been in Imani's ear already, and it's no surprise that happened. But like they're having to also scramble. They need these names bad. Like the G League needs these kids more than anything. So the
Yeah.
kids know that they have the upper hand. So that is a good thing for the kids' sake. But it's also the G League is really trying to get more names because, like you guys brought up, like nobody's going to want to watch these games, and no franchise like fans are not going to really know who these guys are because they're not going to watch them because they'll be like, all right, I might watch 1 or 2 Jalen Green games. They're not going to follow him a lot, right? So
Yeah.
they're trying their hardest to get more. If they can get like a couple top 10, top 15 kids out of every class, that's a success for the G League right now. But Jalen, that's why what Jalen did this week is really huge. Like that's a big, big deal. Like people shouldn't overlook it because, I mean, like his whole recruiting process was odd, but like for him to still end up where he's at now, it's like these sophomores are already thinking about it right now. These freshmen are already thinking about it right now. Like they're just like, what is this college? What are these colleges going to do for me at this point? So Jalen, what he did this week is pretty huge. But yeah,
I think there may need to be a look into like, making this G League thing, this move, kind of like a developmental thing for the NBA. Obviously, it's a developmental league for the NBA already, but Jalen Green saying, "Hey, I'm going to the G League and then I'm going to the draft," kind of just feels like a double. It just feels weird to me. I feel like he needs to be able to say, "I'm going to the NBA draft." Okay, so the team with the first pick selects him, but then he plays a year at their G League team, and if he's good enough, bring him up. You know what I mean? Like almost like baseball does. I would rather see that because now you got that fan base excited. Okay, we got this kid coming that's supposed to be pretty good, and they're looking forward to him instead of him going and playing for a year with no build up at all. Like he's just out there alone. I
but
don't know.
remember, this is just for until the rules change, right? Until when these kids are able to go from high school to NBA. This is just for like that in between. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
obviously they want us to be long term, but like this is just for like if Jalen would have gone pro if he could have, right? We all know that.
and he probably would be sitting on the bench,
He probably would be sitting on the
and
bench. Yeah.
people haven't seen him play. You know what I mean? Like people haven't seen him. Like so,
Yeah.
getting him in a professional environment for a little while, and building this story of him coming up the ranks would be more exciting and more easier, and would be more exciting for a fan base. Just looking at it, if you're trying to sell tickets, if you're trying to sell this number 1 pick, build up his arrival, just like they do in baseball.
When you think about the G League, like the G League needs this. Like you think about back home in Atlanta with, College Park, they opened up a whole new arena for the Dream and the Skyhawks. Skyhawks, from the games I saw, completely empty. 2 Chains, Trey, all those guys on the front row still empty.
Yeah.
And the Dream, as far as what the Dream have done the last few years, it's been empty for the most part. Except for the playoffs when they've given most of the tickets away to the city and all that to the kids and stuff. They need this. You know what I'm saying? They need this really bad. And so does the WNBA. But yeah, just thinking, on that level, they could, like you said, tickets up.
Oh yeah.
No. He'll like they'll. I think also with Jalen is like a kid like him. Well, one thing. Well, 2 things. Number one, yes, like we miss out on the excitement that we've hit on that, but it's like we remember like when Zion got drafted, when New Orleans found out they had the number 1 pick and they knew it was gonna be Zion, and they showed their I think y'all remember, like they showed their draft room, or they showed it was one of their offices, and they were going
nuts. It was the ticket sales stats.
Ticket sales. They were going nuts, right? So like everybody was like, that's the moment you get, like to Jeremy's point, shot, like that's the moment that you're gonna miss out on because it's like, damn, like we have this franchise changing player, whatever. And Jalen might be that to some franchise, whatever, but you're gonna miss out on that. But at the same time, it's like what Jalen's gonna get out of the G League and that preparation. This is just me to just like the college or G League conversation, but like just what he'll get out of that 1 year compared to college, when all he's done his entire. If you follow this kid's career, all he's done is put himself in a position where it's strictly about basketball. Like
Yeah.
it's all he's ever done. Like he knows they knew Jalen Green was going to be this kid like years ago, right? So it's like the school he's gone to, the prep school he went to, all of that, the AAU teams he's changed to, like he's got himself around like nothing but like pro minded people. So I think that's why this decision really is no surprise, but it's also like that's how he sees himself. Like I'm not gonna mess around with any school. This is just strictly I'm here to play basketball and that's it.
So what do you think for a kid like Imani Bates? And I know me and you have talked about him. Like, I think he's good enough by the time he gets to his senior year that he would be good enough to walk off a high school court and play in the NBA.
Absolutely.
So what do you say to that kid that's I've not seen much of Jalen Green, and I don't just the highlights I've seen of him. He looks, exciting. Looks like he can play a little bit, but I don't see a stepping right off the high school court into an NBA starting lineup. I don't see that for him. But with Imani, I see that. So, what do you tell him? Go play in college for a year and watch everybody make money off of you, or?
Well, like that's why these colleges haven't even tried with Imani. If you look at Imani Bates offers right now, you would be like, because a lot of colleges they're not even bothering with him. Like Michigan State is the hardest one, but like even when we saw him play last year, bro, there were college coaches like watching him, but you would have thought it would have been more than there was there. Like maybe they were busy, maybe it was just like the time of day he played, maybe. But it's Imani, so that shouldn't matter. But like, bruh, that kid, I think these college coaches are already made up their mind about him. Like they already know, so they're not even gonna mess with. And I think Imani knows that himself. It's like what am I gonna gain from that? Imani really is one where he's coming at the right time, where the rule change. He is a kid that needs to go straight.
Do you?
What 20? Is it 2022?
I think so, because you have to think. I think Bronny might be so I think Imani might miss it by a year.
Yeah.
Because no. Because Dior is a sophomore too, right?
Yeah, Dior's
I think Dior and like Imani, that's the first year they're gonna let them do it.
Yeah, that's why. That's why I
remember when Dior committed to Syracuse, everybody's like, he's not stepping a foot on the campus. LOL.
Exactly.
And I was like, okay, so that must be the year. So like when Bronny comes up, Bronny can go straight. But we have to see the type of leap that Bronny takes sophomore year.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that kind of answers my question on Imani, because I feel like there's no reason for him to play anywhere other than the NBA. And that was my point with the climbing the ladder type G League. It was also that because I wanted NBA franchises to put more money and resources into their G League programs. I feel like they care about them now, but you're developing rotational players. You're not developing the future cornerstone of your franchise. You know what I mean? So I feel like they would care a little more if it was LeBron down there in G League preparing to come up versus, no disrespect, a guy that's just going to be a role player for you. But if Imani's class will come in, he'll be the number one pick and he'll step into an NBA lineup from day one and be a player. So
I have a question for y'all. So like now I'm at the point where I kind of have a couple homies or affiliates that are in the G League now, mid-major guys and all that and stuff. This, what does this do for them? Are those dudes just going to have to, competition's getting tougher. You might have to go overseas and swallow that pride. Like, what does this do for those type of guys?
It's possible. I mean, it's definitely possible. Like you said, if this is one of those things that ends up increasing the competition to the G League, then, it could very well be one of those things where more players could, consider those that overseas route, if that's where they want to go. I mean, like you said, it'll be interesting to see how it develops. But like you said, I think that the main question is really going to be like, if the level of competition in the G League is going to end up increasing, then is it going to increase the overall, exposure and attention that the G League gets? Because, like you said, a lot of players, they end up building their their sort of brand, I guess, before they get into the NBA, through either, their senior year in high school or through college. Steph Curry was a great example because I believe he played at Charlotte Christian when he was in high school. So, so before that Davidson run, it's like he really didn't, really get all that much of attention. I remember when I was in North Carolina, there was this kid by the name of Wendell Moore who played at Cox Hill. And I remember watching his games, and there was lots of people that were saying like, "Oh, he's one of those standout players that probably, if he had that option, could probably go straight from high school into the pros." So it's, it'll be one of those things where it'll be interesting to see how it develops. But it's sort of a player by player type of deal.
Yeah, I'm with you, Akeem. I think the better. Honestly, the better the health of the league, the better it is for those types of players. I feel like they'll add more teams, obviously, but I don't know. It's just about who can play and who can't. I mean, you better eat your Wheaties. That's all I can say for just eat your Wheaties. Be ready to play.
Eat your Wheaties, boys.
Eat your Wheaties. Adding more teams too. That's another great point. Adding more teams, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yo, shout out one more thing. We talking about G League. One more thing. I gotta give a shout out to Mufon Udofia and his girlfriend, or wife, I should say now. They are, I believe his wife, Tori Miller, is the assistant manager for the, I'm forgetting the name, for the Hawks D League. Yeah, she got that promotion last year. Yeah, for this guy, yeah. She got that promotion last year. So like shout out to her she's from DeKalb County, Miller Grove. Came up through the ranks, and now she's doing assistant general manager. So yeah,
I saw that story last year.
You saw that? Yeah. So I think Mufon's also Mufon's been like assistant coaching in the D League. After he graduated from Georgia Tech, he went overseas and came back. Then he's doing that. So like, just shout out to that, like keeping that homegrown talent in the A.
But you know what the real challenge is going to be for Jalen Green? Yeah. You got to go against my boy from the Defenders, the LA Defenders. What's his name? Andre, what's his name?
Oh man, he's still playing for those? Oh yeah,
and he's still in the G League, moving with the gray head, man. You remember him, Jeremy?
Who?
Man with the gray head got called up with the Lakers a couple years ago.
Ingram.
You remember him?
Man.
Yeah.
That's
in the league long in
have to face him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna see Jello. Jello got to make a team next year. But hey, Eric. But before we leave, man, I need to get your thoughts. I could have got this afterward, but I'm gonna just sneak it in here. You know what I'm saying? Eric. If y'all don't know right now, he's at Bleacher. He in the New York area. But right now, Eric is working with the Preps. That's his beat. That's his thing. So, how do you feel about Deshaun, man? Deshaun Ruffin. I'm down here in Mississippi. Deshaun Ruffin. Top player, the talk of the town. I've seen him myself once, and he lived up to the hype. How do you feel about Deshaun?
You told me that. Yeah, I was like, yo, I hit up my boy Peter Walsh here up at BR, and I was like, yo, my boy Rashad is like a big fan. He's watching him right now. Hey, Deshaun's nice, man. Like, he's one of those other kids that, like, we were also like, first of all, Mississippi hoops always gets overlooked, right? Like, you always got to wait for one to come out. He was one that's been like a lot of other kids that like will tell you in his class, like, yo, who else is like hard to guard? Who else is like a kid that we're overlooking? And Deshaun's name, I promise you, gets like dropped all the time. So like he's somebody that everybody's like, yo, stop sleeping on him. He's nice. I love his heart. He plays hard. Like he's not scared. He's not afraid. Like that kid is gonna be really good. I know he's got a couple like really dope top school offers, programs, whatever. He's gonna get some more. He's a junior, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, junior.
Yeah, he's a junior.
Rising senior.
Rising senior. Yeah, he's gonna be really good. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Deshaun, man. I got to. I'm actually jealous that you got to see him live because I want to see him live too. But he's nice.
He's really small. He's really short, but he's so big, bro. That kid is built, man. Like
really.
Yeah, he's built.
You know who he reminds me of? Him and they're both like in the same class, but they're both kind of as Zion Harmon. If you look at Zion Harmon.
Yeah, they play Zion. They play Zion.
Oh, they really did?
At I think at the John Wall tournament.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Zion schools in Kentucky. Yeah, Zion's nice. They're both like stocky a little bit. Okay, yeah. So now I'm a big Deshaun fan.
But the hoops here is not like Bama, bro. It's not like Bama or Georgia. Bama and Georgia
Really?
is a little better. It's a little better competition, but
We gotta put some respect on Georgia hoops now for sure.
yeah. Oh, I mean, well, we know. Everybody on this call know.
No,
I don't think other people know.
Right.
Facts.
But yeah, man, like
Okay.
but yeah, like you said, Mississippi hoops being slept on. You got to think about the guys like the guy who was at Kansas a couple of years ago, who's a big deal over here. He's a huge deal, and he plays for Cleveland now with the G League and stuff.
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh, his name.
But it took him but that was once, like, even when he came, but before him, it was just like our man Monte Ellis, like
Monte.
like it's always
Rodney
it's big
Hood,
gaps. Yep.
Devin Booker. All those guys come up through here, man. So they have a nice little pipeline up here, but I'm just saying, like, as far as the hoops now, I don't want to get into that too much because that's my day job. So I'm gonna get it off it.
How's everybody doing the pandemic? Let's do a little check through for the pandemic. Yeah.
Go first, King.
Oh, I'm okay. It is what it is. I mean, I'm just just trying to maintain and trying to live. So so I'm fine. Like I got I mentioned this in the previous episode. I got a lot of family obviously up in the NYC area. So it's one of those things where they're getting hard hit with this virus and everything. So I'm trying to keep up with them as much as I can. But so far they're maintaining, and so far so am I.
That's good. That's good. Jeremy, how you doing?
Oh man, I'm good. I'm just trying to stay healthy, working as long as I can. Just trying to make it to the next day, make it to the next week.
Thanks.
Ain't really much to say, just praying for everybody. Hope everybody be okay, everybody be safe. It's, I don't know. I mean, I turn on the TV to watch the news and it don't get no better, but it seems like the jokes keep coming. So
you got that right.
We won't get into that.
You got that absolutely. Right.
So yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Happy to see y'all on here. I'm glad y'all all right and all that, man.
The gang, baby. Of course. You know what it is. Last time I saw Jeremy, we was watching Jalen Hurts getting his ass whooped, boy. I was like, my best time of my life. Hey, man, I always think about that game. That was my favorite. That was
so much fun. It was over.
Oh, man.
Yo, that was the best thing ever, man. We walked in there. I was like, man, all these Oklahoma fans, I remember them coming through the security, but leaving, didn't seem like they were there.
Man, I was on the train with LSU fans. I'm like, dang, y'all leaving already? Yeah, we've been beating them for 2 hours.
It was on the eastbound train quick.
The jersey swap fans. You know how the fans bring 2 jerseys and they flip it off when they got.
Oh yeah, they flipped it quick.
They don't get a hard time.
Man, LSU just scored again.
For me, man, this thing is super tough, and it's not even just for like directly for the virus. It's like all the stuff around it, like the economy and all that, like anxiety around that, and seeing everybody. Our company, we've had furloughs and stuff like that. Like my sports editor is off this week. I think last week it was our Ole Miss beat writer was out. Week before that, Mississippi State beat writer was out. So,
wow.
And then, just, all our homies back in Georgia, of course, it's like, it seemed like everybody except for, the guy had his hands over Jeremy. Everybody else in that exact same position in Georgia in those smaller type community papers have been let go. So, man, it's just really tough. And then, and then that's just the economic thing. And then, I was talking to another homie in another industry this week, and he was saying how he got let go with this whole thing. And, how he's been kind of going through it or whatnot and stuff like that. But, just, the mental aspect of it, it's been tough. I ain't even gonna lie. Like, I would be lying to y'all if I said that it wasn't tough at all. Like, there's definitely tough moments of just, being locked in your apartment, or just you have to continue to talk to the ones that you love and stuff, and stay in contact with them, and make sure you check up on everybody, because it's gonna get ugly. You know what I'm saying? It has gotten ugly on a national scale, but it's gonna get more and more personal to you, and it's not even just directly in relation to the virus. You know what I'm saying? Just like people who go through these things, inner battles within their minds. You have no idea what just a drive to the grocery store, a drive to work does for them, relieves for them. And they don't have that anymore, as often and as accessible as it once was a month ago. So those are the people that, you really have to think about and keep in contact with during this time, because it's going to get real ugly these next couple months.
Mm-hmm. That's so
How about
true.
you?
Well
Eric?
said.
You up there in the thick of this, man. What's going on with you?
Yeah, well said, man. Like it was the contact, the communication, like that is the biggest key here. It's the most important resource we have is just each other really right now, because can't like local governments and trying to get updates. It's tough. Like you can't use that as your only kind of mental gauge or how you should feel. Like you can't let that control exactly how your day to day, how you're feeling all the time. You have to use your like yourself and also just the people around you to kind of get you through it, because that's the biggest key right now. So it's tough. It definitely is. I mean, me personally, like here, it's been hard. It's been real hard. I think we've all kind of like us that have kind of moved away. It's like now we feel even further away. Like like Rashad, you just moved. You know what I mean? This year, you moved further away this year, so it's like you feel that too as well. But also, I know all of us feel that even further away. Even if we're all close to family, you feel further away from them. So, I mean, the distance has been really tough this time. I can't lie for me, because yeah, I mean, I call my mom a lot, talk to her pretty regularly, you know what I mean? But it's still kind of like it feels like just as kind of wild that it's actually happening. Like she's always constantly asking, like, you good? Like, doing all right? All these things. But I can hear it in her voice too that she's like waiting to hear like me say something. I'm like, no, look, I'm okay. Like, I'm just like, I got to make sure that she knows that everything's okay. I'm trying to hold it down, trying to stay sane and maintain. And those are the most important things. So here, y'all kind of already know what it is. Like, I mean, my boy Ronnie hit me up, and he was kind of still like, he hit me up today. I haven't talked to him in a while, and he was kind of like, well, bro, I know I just keep hearing what's going on in the news. Like, you good? And I was just like, he wasn't the only one. Then my boy Alex hit me up like a week ago. I was like, yo, I keep hearing what's on the news. You good? And it's like everybody, like that's usually the first thing people hit me up about. So that's been odd that I can only imagine what you guys are hearing and things like that. But I'm trying to stay upbeat, trying to stay positive, trying to control my mental. So that's the best scenario you really have. That's the only option you have. So but it's good that at least like you guys are safe. That makes me feel good. Like knowing my boys are good, knowing my fam's good, then it's like I'm straight. As long as I know my peoples are straight, I'm good. So yeah.
And that's such an important thing, like you said, especially nowadays, because, you hit on a great point. Doing those, just those small things, to just, always, just keep one's mental health and, in check, because it's one of those issues where, it's a tough time for all of us. And doing those things to always, bring, those dashes of positivity in our lives, and, just always keeping ourselves upbeat and just always trying to keep a good mindset and a clear head about things. I think it's never been more important than it always is. That's why we stress, even when things are relatively normal. That's why we always stress to always, take time to make sure that, that you're just straight, not just physically, but also mentally.
Yep. Facts, bro. Facts. My good men. It was good to do this again.
Absolutely.
A-League again, baby. 102, is that it? 102?
Yeah, 102. We actually got a whole
we
episode.
didn't do this sooner. Like,
I know.
We haven't recorded. I guess we didn't know about Zoom like the rest of the world. The government planted 5G. All of this.
Yeah, we didn't know none of
They're
that.
collecting us right now. You guys know when this conversation ends. The government's still looking.
They'll still looking. They'll never stop, baby.
But yeah,
Are we signing out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know
man.
what it is.
Good to see
Well,
y'all,
yo,
man.
actually, you don't know what it is. I changed the Twitter handle, so Eric Yeboah, but the Twitter handle is not Eric Yeboah _. You know, that's the Twitter now. I got a little bit more official. You know what I mean?
Bro, it's been so long.
So
I
You done
forgot we
bossed
do this
up,
at the end
didn't
of
you?
episodes.
what happened?
I forgot we do this at the end of episodes. Shout out our Twitters.
See what I'm saying? We did. I'm taking it back. We got to be humble.
We got to go back to the old school
That's
originals.
we got to be humble.
Tell me about
I just
it.
remember I remember doing this and looking at Chris, and he looking like wrap it up.
Yeah.
He started twirling that
Oh,
finger.
dang, man. Hey, RP Chris, man. You know what I'm saying?
Got two.
R.I.P. Chris.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Man, Chris, we miss you, boy.
Right.
Man,
Miss Chris.
True.
dang, man. He believe it's been 3 years. What, 4 years ago now?
Yeah, man.
That's crazy.
That's so crazy. We walked in that thing, and the last day we walked in there, and we said, we got our money, and they were like, you ain't live though. We were like, well, we have money. Like, I have money right here, bro. Like,
Exactly.
and that wasn't enough, but yeah, that's all good. We moved on.
And I still remember that first episode. Remember when we sounded like we belonged on NPR?
Yo, Chris was like, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all sad? Like,
Yeah. Dwight Howard didn't fit.
that's why.
The first thing
We
I
sounded
ever
like
seen
we
on the
belonged on
podcast.
WABE.
We knew.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead,
pulled
now.
up from
Go ahead,
half
Sean.
court.
Shoot. My Twitter is just my name, Rashad Milligan, MILLIGAN.
Oh, you switched it up too.
Oh, you ain't even
I
got
switched
the,
it up from Jeff
you
3000.
ain't got the MySpace or anything no more. You just gonna sign out all normal.
Oh yeah, what happened to the
Oh,
MySpace?
dang, my bad. Oh, I'm on it. Oh, I
Yep.
forgot I did that.
Yep.
Bro, we haven't done this in years. All right, hold on. Okay, my name is Rashad Milligan. You can follow me on Twitter at The Real John Moran.
There it is.
I thought you was gonna say something like former or still Marietta resident or something that's like that.
Yeah.
I didn't have it. I usually shoot a lot of shots in that. Like, I think it, like one time I was like Simone Manuel's husband. I had that whole page where I was like,
Jeremy, go ahead, bro.
This is Jeremy Johnson, Clark Underkent _75, like it always been.
And always still getting you.
Wait, you forgot the end, bro.
no, Jeremy is supposed to go last. It's a king.
Wait,
I already
no,
said
but Jeremy's supposed to say I get my Superman on.
I get my Superman on.
There it is. All right, King.
I know, right? Absolutely. One thing for sure that you will not catch me doing, doing that Simone Biles handstand challenge. Like, I already got enough. You will not catch me doing that. Akeem Balaam, still the same. Twitter, Gram, beyondthew.com. Check it out.
Yay.
Y'all must thought that I was gonna whisper the whole time.
Mistress, diamonds they wear like go fishing. Y'all don't want friends, I want Audis. I don't want cars, I want Rarries. I don't want friends.